Mending? Mending, the literal MVP of all Minecraft enchantments. This absolute unit of an enchantment is literally game-changing. So what does Mending do for the 3 people out there who don't already know? Simple. Whenever you gain experience, whether you're mining coal, slaying mobs, or fishing, Mending takes that XP and shoves it directly into repairing your gear instead of adding it to your level bar. But it's not all good. There is a catch. You can't get it from the enchantment table. Nope. This enchantment only shows up from treasure sources, meaning enchanted books from chests, fishing, or most commonly, through trading with a librarian villager. And once you do get one of those librarian villagers selling it, you guard them with your life, unless you want to spend another 3 hours cycling trades. Unbreaking. Unbreaking is another good enchantment, though it is much less useful with Mending being in the game. So what does Unbreaking actually do? It gives your tools, weapons, and armor a chance to not take durability damage when used, effectively just increasing the durability of your items. The higher the level, Unbreaking 1, 2, or the glorious Unbreaking 3, the more often your gear will say, "Nah, I'm good," and shrug off the damage. It still pairs well with Mending as it gives your tools and weapons a longer time without the need of Mending. And let's not forget, it's super easy to get. Unlike Mending, you can find Unbreaking at the enchantment table, and it's available on nearly everything. Curse of Vanishing. The Curse of Vanishing is just straight up a bad enchantment with no redemption. I get that it's called a curse, but seriously, who asked for this? At least Notch could have made it a double-edged sword instead of just bad. Here's what it does, in case you've been lucky enough to never deal with it. If you die with an item that has Curse of Vanishing on it, it poofs. Gone. No chance to recover it. And the worst part? It shows up on random loot litka from bastion chests or ruined portals. And look, I'm 100% in the game. I think some enhancements that aren't just purely good would be a nice addition, but I don't think this is how that should be done. Not only is it just purely bad, but it's not even bad in the sense that it makes the game harder or more challenging in a fun way. It's just annoying. Curse of Binding. The Curse of Binding is another hot trash enchantment. If the name didn't give it away, let me be the one to confirm it's not good. Here's how it works. If you wear an item with Curse of Binding, say a helmet or a chest plate, you're stuck with it. As in, you literally can't take it off unless you die or it breaks. Yeah, that's it. Not fun. You'll find it on armor in random chests or from villagers. And okay, in normal Minecraft, this isn't that big of a deal, just have to die to get rid of the armor. Easy. But I'm hardcore Minecraft where you can't die. You will literally have to break the armor to get it off. That's the only way, which can take a long time and be very annoying, and I know the odds are low, but you can even put on a carved pumpkin with this enchantment, and in hardcore, your whole screen is just Jacko-Vision forever. Yay! Again, these enchantments are just annoying and unnecessary. And before anyone thinks, then you think of something better, okay, sure. Imagine an enchantment curse that makes it so the armor drains health quickly, but in return gives the armor extra protection, which can stack on existing protection. Bam! Aqua Affinity. Aqua Affinity is an armor-only enchantment that increases the rate of underwater mining speed. This is a decent enchantment, I guess. It's helpful, it's just a very niche thing to use an enchantment on. But if you find yourself in water a lot or wanting to take on an ocean monument, this can definitely be a nice enchantment to have on you. Blast Protection. Blast Protection is another one of those enchantments that's just alright. The thing with Blast Protection is it's obviously a good enchantment. It just reduces the damage taken from explosions and reduces the knockback. What's not to love? The same annoying thing that holds back most of the specialized protections in Minecraft, you can only pick one. Yep. Minecraft has this weird rule that says you can't stack protection, blast protection, fire protection, and projectile protection all together. And while blast protection sounds great on paper, it's situational. The other protection types typically will be a better choice. That said, there are some niche moments where this enchantment might be worth it, but it's definitely a hard sell, which is unfortunate since the idea of only being able to have one is cool, but it just sucks that there's one obvious choice at the end of the day. Depth Strider. Depth Strider is another armor-exclusive enchantment, but it's also only available to boots. This enchantment is aight. I probably would put it on my boots just cause it's a might as well type of thing. What it does is reduce the movement slowdown you get while underwater. At level 3, you'll be zooming through the ocean like a dolphin. It's not flashy, but if you've ever tried to fight mobs, mine blocks, or just move through water without it, you'll realize how painfully slow the game makes you by default. Feather Falling. Feather Falling is where things actually get good. This enchantment is also only available for the boots, but is actually very useful, well, at least for a while. What this enchantment does is reduce fall damage. At level 1, it's not very noticeable, but by level 4, you're basically invincible to fall damage. This might not seem game-breaking, but with how many times Minecraft players fall off of 100-block cliffs, maybe you'll reconsider. The only thing that really works against this enchantment is that by the later game, it basically becomes invalid. Not only will you get elytras allowing you to literally fly, but your armor will be so strong you probably won't need to worry about fall damage anyway. Fire Protection. Fire Protection is one of the better protection enchantments. If you couldn't guess it by its name, it reduces damage taken from fire, lava, or even burning after a blaze aimbotted you with a fireball. And the lava part? That's the big one. Lava is one of the most dangerous things in Minecraft, especially if you're exploring caves or the Nether. Fire Protection makes it way more forgiving when you accidentally swim in molten death, which oftentimes will end up saving an entire inventory worth of your time. Frostwalker. Frostwalker is pure aura, not going to lie. This goated enchantment is one of the coolest in the entire game, literally. When you equip boots with Frostwalker and step onto water, it transforms the water source blocks beneath you into frosted ice, allowing you to walk across lakes, rivers, and even oceans like you're Frozone. Like, you'll literally be aura farming in Minecraft. It also prevents damage from standing on magma blocks, which is a nice bonus. The main downside is that you can't have both Frostwalker and Depth Strider on the same boots. Projectile Protection. Projective Protection is one of the most trash enchantments in the whole game, for sure. Like the other protection enchantments, it can't be stacked with the other protection types. The big difference with Projectile Protection is that it's just the worst protection type by far. It only reduces damage from things like arrows, tridents, shulker bullets, and blaze fireballs. That sounds useful, until you realize that normal protection already reduces that damage, and everything else too. So why would you ever pick this? The answer is, you shouldn't. Protection. Protection is one of the few true must-have enchantments in Minecraft. This Talk of the Town reduces incoming damage from most sources, melee hits, falling, explosions, and even fire by a percentage. While it's not as good at protecting against any one thing like the specialty variations, it covers so many bases that it's easily the best option for general use. If you max this enchantment out on all of your gear and have diamond or netherite gear, you'll basically become invincible. You'll pretty much remove any sense of any challenge and become a god within Minecraft. To be honest, my biggest complaint is that it's too strong and makes Minecraft too easy. Respiration. Respiration can only be used on your helmet and extends underwater breathing time. It's only one of those niche enchantments that's nice to have when underwater, especially in ocean monuments. At max level, Respiration 3, it gives you up to 45 seconds of underwater breathing instead of the usual 15, plus a small chance each second to avoid drowning damage entirely. Outside of that, it's pretty useless, and Minecraft just doesn't really have enough underwater content to justify all of these water-exclusive enchantments. Soul Speed. Soul Speed is one of the newer enchantments added to Minecraft. Introduced in the Nether update, Soul Speed is pretty much only useful in the Nether. What it does is let you walk faster on soul sand and soul soil, blocks that normally slow you down to a crawl. With Soul Speed 3, you actually move faster on those blocks than on regular ground, turning the usually annoying soul sand valleys into high-speed highways. Now, this enchantment isn't found through normal enchanting. You'll have to get it from bartering with piglins, looting bastion remnants, or finding it in chests. It also eats up your boot's durability while in use, which is kind of annoying, but if you've got Mending, it's no big deal. In my opinion, this is one of the better enchantments out there. Sure, it's niche, which is annoying, but it's a great enchantment for traveling the Nether or making those super fast highways that allow you to go unreasonably fast. Thorns. Thorns is an interesting enchantment. It's one with a lot of controversy and many players won't use it, thinking it's one of the worst enchantments in the game cause it makes your armor break faster, which can be more of an issue than you might think, especially in PvP battles, since they can literally last so long your armor can break mid-fight, which would be a death sentence. But with the addition of Mending, this isn't that big of an issue. It still can be annoying in PvP, but otherwise it's a good enchantment, and I will die on that hill. It's one of the few trade-offs in Minecraft that is actually done right. Swift Sneak. Swift Sneak is the final armor-only enchantment, also exclusive to the boots. What does it do? Simply, it makes you move faster while crouching. Sounds kind of random at first, but this enchantment is actually way better than it seems. Introduced in the ancient cities with the Deep Dark update, Swift Sneak was clearly made with sneaking past the warden in mind, but it's useful beyond that. At Swift Sneak 3, you move nearly at walking speed while crouched, which is a huge quality of life boost for building, redstone work, and parkour across dangerous areas. No more inching your way across scaffolding or lava pits like a snail. Bane of Arthropods. Bane of Arthropods, also known as Bane of My Existence. Just kidding, but this enchantment is a joke. It increases damage and applies slowness to arthropod mobs, think spiders, cave spiders, silverfish, endermites, and bees. Oh, and you don't need to rack your brain, that's all of them. Now, you might think, okay, it's not great, but at least it's something. And you'd be right, until you realize this enchantment competes directly with Sharpness and Smite. So if you pick this one, you're locking yourself out of those two-way better options. And that's the real problem. Sharpness gives bonus damage to everything, and Smite shreds the undead, which are actually common threats. So yeah, this might as well not even be in the game, as it's just literally a massively inferior version of its counterparts. Breach. Breach is an enchantment for the recently added mace weapon that reduces the effectiveness of the armor of the one on the receiving end. This enchantment is great for PvP or even against tough mobs with armor, like piglins. Overall, it's just a solid enchantment that increases the power of the mace, making it feel like a tank buster sort of weapon. Density. Density is another mace-exclusive enchantment. This enchantment increases the damage dealt by the mace when falling from a height, stacking perfectly with the mace's already unique mechanic, fall-based attacks. Basically, the higher you fall before landing that smash, the more devastating the blow. It's a super fun enchantment to use, especially if you like playing a more risky but fun playstyle. Sure, you do run the risk of dying to fall damage if you're not careful, but if you pair it with Feather Falling, the results of this weapon enchantment combo can be amazing. Fire Aspect. Fire Aspect, another straight fire enchantment. When applied to your sword, it sets your enemies on fire when you hit them. I mean, how could that not be cool? Though, while it sounds awesome, and it kind of is, it does have a few drawbacks. For one, mobs hit with Fire Aspect might run around in flames, setting nearby things on fire, like your carefully built wooden house. It also cooks animals when you kill them, which is useful early game but annoying if you want raw food for trading or breeding, but overall easily a top-tier enchantment on the cool factor alone. Looting. Looting is a pretty essential enchantment that, while lacking in the combat department, is easily one of the best utility enchantments in the game. It goes on swords, and what it does is increase the number of drops you get when you kill mobs. That means more bones from skeletons, more ender pearls from endermen, more wither skulls from wither skeletons. You get the idea. Hopefully, this enchantment is basically your best friend when grinding for rare mob drops. And trust me, if you've ever tried getting 3 wither skulls without looting, you'll never want to do that again. It's also super useful in manual mob farms, giving you way more loot. I would consider this one of the must-have enchantments for sure. Impaling. Impaling is the first Trident exclusive enchantment. This enchantment is a little confusing as it works slightly different on Bedrock and Java. On Java, this enchantment isn't that great as it increases the damage for aquatic mobs only. It's alright, and a might as well have, I guess. On Bedrock, it's slightly better as it will increase the damage against mobs in water, including rain, so while situational is much better than its Java counterpart. Commence the version wars now. Knockback. Knockback is another controversial enchantment. What it does is simple. When you hit a mob or player, they get launched backward, which can be great for yeeting mobs off a cliff, but typically can be pretty annoying when you're trying to finish something off and it goes flying into the distance like Team Rocket. In PvP, it can be a mixed bag. Sure, it can keep your opponent from comboing you, but it also makes it harder to keep up pressure or finish a kill. And in PvE, good luck chasing that skeleton you smacked into the perfect distance to 360 no-scope your head for the 3rd time. It's a fun-on-paper enchantment that ends up being more of a nuisance than anything. Sharpness. Sharpness is a sword-exclusive enchantment, and the one must-have for the sword. This is the go-to enchantment for people who want to do more damage to everything. Unlike Smite and Bane of Arthropods, which are only useful against certain mob types, Sharpness boosts your damage across the board. It's also one of the few enchantments that scales really well with higher levels. Sharpness V is no joke and can turn your sword into an absolute menace. The only real downside? You can't combine it with Smite or Bane, so if you're making a mob-specific farm weapon, you might pick one of those instead. But if you're just playing the game normally and want raw power, then go with Sharpness every time. Smite? Smite is slightly better than Bane of Arthropods, though that is not an achievement in the slightest. Smite will increase damage against undead mobs, which is a pretty common mob type, so it can be pretty useful as it will do more damage per hit than if your sword had just Sharpness against those mobs. However, it's just not really enough to justify it over just Sharpness. Sweeping Edge. Sweeping Edge is a Java-only enchantment, which is honestly a massive W for Java players. No offense to Bedrock users, I just play Java. What it does is boost the damage of your sweeping attacks, you know, that wide slash you do when you're swinging a sword at a group of mobs. With Sweeping Edge, that little area of effect becomes deadly. It's especially amazing in mob farms when you're dealing with a horde of zombies or skeletons and just want to clear house. Combine this with Sharpness and your sword will become deadly. Why this enchantment isn't in Bedrock? I blame Notch pulling strings like some mastermind. This is a joke. But really, who knows? Windburst. Windburst is the last melee weapon enchantment, and this is a banger to end on. I mean, whoever made this enchantment was really cooking. After landing a hit, Windburst lets you bounce up into the air like you're starring in some kind of Minecraft anime. The higher the enchantment level, it caps at level 3, the higher you go. This is easily one of the most fun enchantments, and it can be practical too, helping you escape mobs, dodge, danger, or just aura farming. 10 out of 10. Would bounce again. Efficiency. The efficiency enchantment is technically limited to tools. However, the axe, which is also a melee weapon, has a special property. When efficiency is applied to an axe, it doesn't just make you a lumberjack, it increases your chance to stun a shield. Yeah, that's right. At base level, you've got a 25% chance to break through a blocking player's shield. And with each level of efficiency, up to 5, that chance goes up by 5%. So at efficiency 5, that's a whopping 45% stun chance per swing. Channeling. Channeling is a trident enchantment which, let's be honest, is straight up aura farming. This enchantment channels a bolt of fricking lighting toward a hit entity. How cool is that? The only problem is it only functions during thunderstorms and if the target is unobstructed from blocks. Functionally, this enchantment is rarely used considering the conditions, but when it is, no one can deny how cool this is. Flame. Flame is an enchantment for the bow which turns your fired arrows on fire, which is pretty cool and it adds a good amount of damage too. You can even light TNT with flame arrows, giving it even more utility. The only real downside is you can't pair tipped arrows with flame, but let's be honest, most of you are too lazy to be crafting tipped arrows anyway. Infinity. Infinity is the epitome of lazy enchantments, but honestly one I can get behind. Infinity makes it so as long as you have at least one arrow in your inventory, you can fire an infinite amount of arrows. I would make some joke about how lazy Minecraft players are, but seriously, crafting arrows is a pain. There are some trade-offs though. Infinity doesn't work with tipped or spectral arrows, and it can't be combined with Mending, which is a crime. But overall, a super good enchantment that is great for convenience. Loyalty. Loyalty is a trident-exclusive enchantment which is even more than a must-have. It's literally the enchantment that turns this weapon from okay to actually viable. What does is simple. It returns the trident to your hand after being thrown. Higher levels will reduce the time taken. Besides just being cool having your own version of Mjolnir, without it, this weapon is pretty bad. Without it, the trident is basically a one-and-done throw toy. With it, it becomes a powerful ranged weapon that's actually viable for combat and exploration. Riptide. Riptide is yet another trident enchantment. This one is also pretty cool. What can I say? The trident is pretty cool and has some of the best enchantments. Riptide allows you to launch yourself through the oceans at high speeds and even through the air. If it's raining, which is a little sad but makes sense, I guess. The higher the level, up to 3, the farther you get launched. Pair it with an elytra and you can launch into flight. Riptide makes water traversal pretty fun, and when it's raining, it's amazing. Multishot. Multishot is a crossbow-exclusive enchantment which allows you to shoot 3 arrows instead of just 1, which only will cost you 1 arrow. Easily an S-tier enchantment. There's a small downside. The arrows can't all hit the same target unless you're super close, and Multishot is incompatible with piercing, which can be a deterrent for sure since both are good and viable. Piercing. Piercing is the counterpart to Multishot. You'll have to pick one for your crossbow. What this enchantment does is allows your arrows to go through multiple targets. I think Multishot is a little cooler, but admittedly Piercing seems like it's a slightly better enchantment if you want the most bang for your buck. Unless you're on Bedrock, cause Multishot slays on Bedrock for some reason. Power. Power is honestly a ridiculous enchantment in the best way possible. This bow enchantment will increase the damage of your bow by 50% with just Power 1. That's 9 HP with one bow shot. Each level after that increases damage by another 25% per level. By the time you get to Power 5, you'll be dealing 15 damage per shot, not even including if you add Flame. Absolutely crazy. But yes, please. Punch. Punch is the bow's version of Knockback and is mostly useless. It's not even as useful as Knockback for getting mobs away since, well, you're using a bow so you should already be at range. So overall it has similar issues as Knockback with none of the potential benefits. Though I can admit it is fun to knock a mob off a towering cliff with a punch bow. Quick Charge. Quick Charge is the best crossbow enchantment by far. Each level reduces the loading time by 0.25 seconds, stacking up to 0.75 seconds at level 3. That might not sound like a huge deal, but trust me, in the heat of combat, it absolutely is. With Quick Charge 3, your crossbow practically fires like a bow, making it actually viable in faster-paced fights. The only problem? Crossbows just don't scale that well into the late game. Once you get a bow enchanted with power and infinity, the crossbow starts to feel a bit useless. Unless you're running the rocket launcher strat. Fortune. Fortune. What to say about this glorious enchantment? With each upgrade, Fortune increases the drop rate of valuable items like diamonds, emeralds, redstone, lapis, and even flint. At Fortune 3, you can get up to 4 diamonds from a single ore block. It's insane. And the best part? It stacks with your efficiency upgrades. So not only are you mining faster, but you're getting more loot per swing. It doesn't apply to every block, such as gold. But on the ores that it matters, it does, and it is a clear S-tier enchantment for your tools. Luck of the Sea. And no, that's not just me throwing shade at video game fishing in general, though it can be boring. It's that Minecraft specifically doesn't give you enough reason to bother. Sure, you can AFK fish farm in some versions until Mojang nuked that strat, but for regular gameplay, most players would rather be mining or raiding structures for loot. It's cool if you're role-playing a chill fisherman or doing a no-mining challenge, but outside that, kinda niche. Pair it with Lure and you've got something decent. But overall, meh. Lure. Lure is again just okay. It's even worse than Luck of the Sea, honestly, because it's only even meh when paired with Luck of the Sea. What Lure does is reduce the wait time for a fish to bite, meaning you'll be fishing faster. But who cares? Fishing in Minecraft isn't something most people do often enough for this to matter. Silk Touch. Silk Touch is a very important Minecraft enchantment. What Silk Touch does is let you harvest blocks in their original form. Ores, grass, stone, beehives, you name it. No more turning stone into cobblestone or grass into dirt. Want to build a base with actual stone bricks and not spend forever smelting? Silk Touch. Want to carry ender chests or gather ice? Silk Touch. It opens up a lot of building and farming options you wouldn't otherwise have. The downside? You can't get things like diamonds or redstone directly when mining their ores since it gives you the block instead of the resource. But that's why you always carry a fortune pick too. Silk Touch is best when used as a secondary tool, not your main.